Are you a Warhammer 40k fan? If you are, you probably hate this guy, Major Kill. Now, to be fair, I'm not the biggest 40k fan in terms of like the things that I've devoted an enormous amount of time to, researching and immersing myself in. It's not one of them. I really do like the world, but in general, I'm kind of on the periphery of it, I would say. I really like the lore videos. And this guy does lore in a certain way that kind of rubs some people the wrong way. The thing that most people hate him for, and the people that are really in the fandom hate this guy, they hate Major Kill. They hate him for kind of the femstodes thing. Is when he first made a video about his thoughts on female custodes, he was basically not giving a real take. Now, when I say that, what I mean is he basically gave the take that seemed to be the most wishy-washy, towing the line. He just did the thing that was, the most neutral thing he could, which is he didn't say it's awesome and I love it. He didn't say it's horrible and I hate it. He was like, you know what? It's kind of okay. It's not even really a big deal. It's like, it's no big deal. And his rationale for that was there were some back alley chats, there's some back room letters and emails between some people that, back in like, I think it was the 80s or 90s, when they were first coming up with the concept of custodes, one of the writers was like, yeah, we could have made female because maybe that would have been cool. Now, here's the thing. That actually proves that the idea was discussed for female custodes and it was dismissed. It was nixed. Someone higher up, someone with more experience, more understanding, understood that that as a concept did not work because they already had female factions in Warhammer 40k. There's always have been in the 40k and the Imperium specifically that are cool, that people like. And the idea of female custodes in the same way with like, female space marines, it's like, all right, well, it kind of doesn't really fit our demographic. Our demographic is, boys. So if we want boys, like young men with testosterone coursing through their veins, to get interested about a female faction or female characters and these types of things, they've got to be, like very feminine. They need to be kind of, they need to be kind of sexy. They need to be feminine. How are we going to make power armor clad, big, beefy women sexy, cool, attractive, interesting? Why would people want to buy these models as opposed to the big burly dude models that are like, the Arnold Schwarzenegger, huge, jacked, muscly action hero type things? And the thing is, you can't. Now, again, this letter was going around, these conversations were happening. I'm going to say in the 80s or 90s. So like Alien, Ellen Ripley, Sam Saren, you've got, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. There is a world in which a reasonable creative person could have been like, yeah, you know what? We're going to have like some female action heroes and it'll be cool. Because at that point, it would have been a new concept. It would have been something that had not been done to death. AKA right now, 2026, 2020s in general, hell, the last 10 years, the girl boss 5'4", 100-pound girl taking out 10 200-pound 6'4" Navy SEALs has been done to death so often that it's gross. And we look at it and we sigh. We sigh, we cringe, we go, ugh, really? They're still doing this? Okay. The other side of it is that they have basically removed the things that made those previous female, action badass characters work, which is they melded the feminine qualities with action. They did not masculinize the women. They said, all right, these are women. How can we make them work as women in this scenario? Well, we can do this, we can do that. We can have a discussion. We figured it out, and that's how we did it. Like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Buffy in the show is super strong. She's badass, but no one ever mistakes her for a man, as opposed to, we'll get to it in a second, the female custodes are literally just men. Like they're literally, there's nothing about them that is feminine. If that's the case, then why are they there? Obviously, it breaks the lore. Obviously, it's not interesting. No one is going to go out and buy those specific models because women generally don't like women that look like dudes in their video games or in their comic books or in their movies and these types of things. They don't like it. We have market research to demonstrate this, okay? When you make the female characters more feminine, more beautiful, more attractive, it's the same thing for when you make the male characters more aspirational. They are, the top upper echelon 1% of genetic potential for human beings. People like to look at that. They like to look at a specimen of peak human beauty and attractiveness, whether they're male or female. And generally speaking, when females play a game and they want to look at a character that, they identify with, they want that female character to be female and feminine and beautiful to them. That's what they want. Same thing with men. When they want the male characters, they want them to be specimens. The female custodes look ugly. Like the models look ugly. Again, I don't paint the models. I have never bought them. They're so expensive. I'm never going to. But the people that are interested in both the models and the lore both hate this idea. And I think at this point, the jury is out. It's over and done with. People have decided, no, we don't want this. We're going to not buy this. We're not doing it. And the people who are speaking the loudest about this are with the majority of the fans. This guy, Major Kill, the reason I wanted to make this video is I wanted to see if he's going to try to walk back what he used to say, which is, you know what, it's fine. And he kind of was hinting a little bit. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but it seemed to me like he was saying, if you're actually annoyed at this, if you don't like this, then you just don't know as much. You don't know enough to realize you're not smart enough, you're not intuitive enough, you didn't read enough lore, you didn't do the research to realize that actually this is fine. And people are annoyed at that. People are understandably annoyed at that. Now, is he going to try to walk it back because it's clearly now the unpopular opinion to have?
Elephant in the room, the first official female custodian models. I actually hate talking about this, and it's getting a little bit upsetting. See, I love talking about custodes. They are my favorite faction. But
yeah, that is one thing we have to address. He doesn't hate to mention other pieces of lore that suck and people don't like. People hate it. People are like, why do they do this? Why do they change this? This is the one thing I've seen him be like, oh God, I hate talking about this. And I was like, why? Because you're getting dragged. You're getting dragged for having a bad opinion. And it didn't seem like you were, willing to defend it. People hate that. Like if you don't like this thing or you do like this thing and you stick with it, people can at the very least respect you for going, okay, he's going against the grain. He's got a dumbass opinion and I don't agree with it. But you know what? He's whatever. It's fine. I can respect him for having it. It's fine. If he likes it, whatever, he could buy it. The wishy-washy, I just don't even want to talk about it, man. That's the kind of stuff that pisses fans off. Because obviously this guy has, a successful business and YouTube channel based on the idea of being a channel for fans of this property. And there's room for fans to like and dislike different things, for sure. I'm sure there's people out there that like newer versions of 40K than they like, the older stuff. I'm sure that's the case. And I mean, I'll be honest, that's kind of me. I like the models, or I like the design of like the newer Marines rather than the older ones, just in terms of like the models. They look better. They're less iconic. They're less interesting. I understand that, but they just aesthetically, they're more pleasing to me. Now, that's a strange, crazy, weird opinion. And again, if I were in the 40K community, I would get dragged for that opinion of like, wait, what? You like the Primaris Marines? more. And I'm like, yeah, they look better. I think they look better. I do. I think they look better. You can't change my mind on that. It's just to my eyeballs, to my brain, the aesthetics are better for that thing. I'm happy to have that discussion. I'm happy to, take a bunch of hate for people going like, no, they suck, they're terrible. And I'm like, I understand that there's reasons why people don't like the Primaris Marines, and it's generally has to do with the the actual game. And I'm like, okay, yeah, totally, I understand it. It's bad taste in your mouth. But you're going to tell me that the older, ugly, huge head, weird looking models are more aesthetically pleasing? Like, they're not. Maybe they're more interesting, and certainly they're more nostalgic for you, but for me, no, they don't look as good. That is a reasonable opinion to have. People can respect that. This guy,
But because of how controversial female custodes are, suddenly it's like walking on eggshells. Like, I used to make custody vids all the time, and now I just don't really enjoy it, as although I could just ignore the female custodes, it is my job to discuss all parts of the lore on a topic, even if that part isn't well liked. When I first discussed female custodes, my take was, I'm not a huge fan, I think they were implemented poorly and are unnecessary, however I'm not going to let this stop me from enjoying custodes as a faction and
I don't remember that. I watched this video. He went through and he was kind of like, yeah, you know what? I'm okay with it. Maybe I'll rewatch this. Let me know. If there's any Major Kill fans or people that know it better, let me know in the comments where I'm fucking up. Okay, totally possible. I do remember this. Maybe it was a year ago. Maybe it was a different video. But he was basically like, no, like, this is fine. Like I said, he referenced letters from writers of 40K who were talking about making female custodes. And he was like, yeah, okay. So it's actually like, it's always been a part of the lore. They were right. So, you know what? I was right. He is trying to walk it back. As far as I can tell. And you know what? I will leave it at that so we can keep the discussion open. If we want to go further into this, let me know in the comments. Good luck with all your endeavors. Thank you very much for your time and attention. Farewell for now.